the person in the world going. But I think that is sort of like the problem with this industry. How much of it is, solely being funny and how much is playing the game? Like, how good is your social media? How marketable are you? Like, because I met some people. Like, I've had Craig Campbell on here. He is one of the funniest dudes of all time. He's a complete fucking rock star, Canadian guy, probably in his like late 50s now. He's got about 2,000 people who follow him on Instagram, but he's a fucking legend. Where you get other people who've got like 300,000 people, and excuse my French, they absolutely suck dick on stage.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, so I think that social media is like through positive reinforcement of what gets the most hits through the algorithm, which tends to be what appeals to the lowest common denominator,
Yes.
i.e., just the dumbest, easiest, least challenging material. That then, like, if it, so that stuff gets huge responses. And then there's a feedback loop, right? Where comics are like, this is what works. I'm getting positive feedback for this. I'm going to keep generating this. So it really does degrade the art form because social media very rarely rewards the most like outside the box thinkers in stand up I think also I think I was talking to someone the other day and she was saying that it's happening in music as well. Um, and it's really it's really horrifying because you do see like in Germany what we have. So I'm in an expat scene, right? And so what that means is our audiences are often speaking English as a second language.
Mm-hmm.
And they speak it very like they're highly proficient in English. However, it's still not their mother tongue. So there's that barrier just to understanding what's being said. Then they don't have shared cultural references because they're from all these mostly different European countries.
Yes.
um, and then because we're in fucking Europe, where like everything is sort of about suffering and surrealism, because of all the wars and like the way that this place was just so recently destroyed over and over again. People
Germany sort of pulled out on themselves a little bit. Not gonna lie.
they sorted themselves out, but people here are not okay. Like nobody's right in the head here because just I mean, even recent history, like Eastern Germany, was
Oh,
it was under communist
yep.
rule. Like the communists rebuilt Eastern Germany, and that meant that these people were living under the oppression of not just like not just the communists, but their own friends and neighbors were all spying on each other.
Got
Everybody's spying on
94,
each other. What?
94, 91,
89.
89. Okay, cool.
Wall falls in 89, everything changes. But before that, no one's safe ever, even in your own living room.
Oh yeah.
That paranoia has carried over into millennials who have parents from East Germany. There's still people who are alive who were spies, and sometimes like I've had them as my neighbors. And it's really a trip. And then those people are traumatized from what happened to their parents, which was that their parents were in Nazi occupied Germany, and then Germany was destroyed through the war that they started. And then before that, Germany was destroyed by World War I. So these
Yeah.
people have just like eaten shit for so hard for so long
Yeah.
that it's basically mutated them into just the most miserable fucks.
Do you think
You
that's what they developed when they say Germans don't have a sense of humour? Because there is that sort of like like cop off joke that Germans have a sense of humour, which I know is a complete fallacy because you know they're absolutely brilliant, but through the hardships they have endured.
Well, there are exceptions to the rule, and like Western Germans are a lot more flexible in their thinking because they were rebuilt by the Americans. So they had this American influence of, our like unnerving positivity. And also they economically prospered after the war as that side of the country got rebuilt, and then the east side of Germany, they didn't get that at all.
No.
So Western Germans are far more adapted to this modern world, and Eastern Germans aren't. But nevertheless, they are a painfully literal people who have no capacity to improvise.
Mm.
And that might also come from their language, which is intensely specific. Like they got a word, a compound word for every fucking thing, nuanced thing. So if you take poetic license in your speech with them, they'll just start having a meltdown because they don't know what's going on,
Oh, it's all
because they think they're being
literal.
literal, but it doesn't make sense if you are being literal.
Mm. Okay. I mean, my German doesn't go too well, so all I know is meine Deutsch ist nicht sehr gut. Sprechen Sie English bitte.
That's pretty good.
Danke.
Yeah, at the
Danke.
end you said better when you were so close to Bessa, which is, there's
Or your motto is sehr groß.
that's great. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's perfect. That's a great joke. We're
Yeah.
right off the ground.
But I want to go straight on to the social media thing to us, because what you mentioned about sort of like,
Right.
the low hanging fruit. One thing I noticed, because the episode that came out today, which shows obviously how in advance I do these, the picture, I interviewed an attractive woman, and it's had such a higher click rate than any one of my other episodes, but it's had a lower duration rate.
Mm.
So it's, and I've noticed it, like, 'cause I'm a male, obviously. I don't know if it's obvious, but like when you see thumbnails and stuff, they're always like the most extreme for sort of like the clickbait, the low hanging fruit, and then
Yeah.
there's that sort of like implement in our minds that that's okay. Because I want to bring this straight onto you, Sophia. One of the reasons, like, I noticed your stuff because I saw my friend CK comments on it. You did comedy naked.
Yeah, right. Okay, yeah.
Is that, whilst that might not be, say, your best material on Instagram or the best video you've ever done, what was like the online response rate to people viewing it in comparison to others?
Well, I thought, okay, this has got to go viral, right? It didn't fucking go viral. It did better than any of the other reels I've put up.
But why do you
Um,
think that?
why do I think that? Well, actually, I think part of it is that it's so novel.
Yeah,
And
100%.
yeah, I think that it's kind of clickbaity. It's like, what the fuck? Someone's doing stand-up naked, right? And how do you resist, like, and also, like, I wrote the title over my private parts. So you might click on it thinking like, I'm gonna actually get to see boobs.
I'm gonna see a tit,
It's
which you
blurred
can't
out.
do online anywhere nowadays.
Exactly. But and then they're actually blurred out, and then the bit is good. But I thought, like, I
Oh,
mean,
drip dry, fucking hilarious.
oh, thanks, man.
No, I laughed at that. Yeah.
No, thanks.
Uh,
But that one didn't do as well, and I think it's because the novelty wore off.
uh,
So I posted, I think, what did I post? I posted 3.
yeah, I saw what drip dry. I saw the hugging one.
Yeah.
I don't know if I've seen the third one.
The third one's about it's just an old bit of mine that I thought I would do in that room because it's a bit of a weird room, but it's about how my boyfriend eats me out so much that I have a yeast infection.
Mhm. Love it.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
But yeah, so what I thought so the first time when I was asked to be on the show, funnily enough, the producer and I, we met at a bar. Like, it was a comedians hang. We met, and I guess I had applied to the show but forgotten about it, and he didn't put me on. But then we met in real life, and he looked me up and down once, and he goes, "Do you want to do my show?" And
That's a bit fucked in it, though.
I was like, oh, I said it to him. I was just like, "Oh, is this how you get everyone to do? You just decide who you want to see naked and you put them on?"
Yeah. That's like the most. I mean, it's a compliment, but it's a fucked up chat line at the same time.
It is. It definitely is, but like, so much of comedy is fucked,
Mm.
and you kind of take it like like just, you take it on the, what is it, on the shoulder, on the like it's not, it kind of rolled off me. And he,
Yeah.
it's a 50 quid gig, which is one of the highest paying gigs at the Fringe.
All right.
And I thought,
Oh,
fuck
it was
it,
at the Fringe.
it was at the Fringe. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, I thought this was some like no offense. I thought this was some like dead ass place in Berlin.
No,
Wow, this is at the
no.
Fringe. You got butt ass naked at the Fringe.
Yeah. But I wouldn't
I
do it.
love you
I don't
even
think I
more,
would do
girl.
it anywhere else. Because you're so anonymous at the Fringe. These audience are coming and going. If I did it here in Berlin, it would be like local men who stalk me anyway, coming to see me
That's what I thought.
naked. So
That's what I thought this was. I thought it was like someplace in Berlin. It's like right,
no.
let's do a niche here, not here a Fringe where you're gonna, like 60-year-old Betty walking in and out and like judging instantly.
Yeah.
I
It's
love this.
yeah, yeah. It's just the Fringe. Well, Fringe is such an amazing place because all these wild fucking shows
Yeah,
happen there. Like the Fringe is like the opposite of what social media is creating. Like social media is degrading the art form and reducing it to the most commodifiable, lowest common denominator.
yeah.
Whereas the Fringe is like, it's like the ultimate expression of art,
Mm.
where it's like the most experimental, wild concepts are born and really appreciated. And like my show is super wild, and I think that's part of why it did so well,
Mm.
in that like I have a, so my solo, and maybe we can go back to this.
We'll jump on until all that because I know because I'm now so much more in love with this. So guy walks into a bar, says, "I want to see you naked. Can you get on my show and be butt ass naked?"
I mean, that's me. Like he denied it because I immediately called him out and joked about that, and he denied it. Plausible deniability, but I'm pretty sure that he was just like, oh, I think that girl applied for my show. Oh, I've seen her in real life. I'm gonna definitely make sure that she gets on this fucking show.
It's because
But
the
then I did it.
material you wrote was sort of like it seemed like you'd done it for a while.
Well, I did it 4 times at the Fringe.
Yeah, but I say it did seem like like it seemed like well, okay, how am I going to say this politely? It seemed like well written material, not stuff that you've done real quick, which is the compliment.
Oh, thanks.
Like
Most of it was riffing. Most of what I put up is riffing, and then the yeast infection bit is just an old bit that I
that
pulled.
bit's the true story.
Yeah, it is based on a true story. But yeah, thank you. The riffing is just, that was just off the cuff.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so how many people did the show?
Um, there were always 4 comics on each lineup, and then all the comics are naked, right? And then Paul is the MC, and he's naked too. And
And does
then
Paul run the show?
Paul runs the show. Yeah,
Okay, does Paul have a
and,
big dick?
yeah.
I'm fan. So, okay, now the jigsaw piece decided to come together because if you're a guy, you're well endowed, you want to show the world it and not end up on a sexual register. You do naked comedy.
Yeah, yeah. Think he found his niche for sure.
Yes.
Paul has found his found what he's good at.
Yeah. I mean, what was how many males to females were on the bill?
Well, actually, so I did it 4 times.
Yeah.
It was only on the show was only on the weekends, so I actually I like maxed out how many times I could even do it.
Yeah.
I found out about it like a week and a half in. And Fringe is only 3.5 weeks,
Yeah.
but typically it was 3 male comics and so I was the only female on the lineup, and so I saw a lot of my comrades' cocks.
But were you the only boobs on the stage? Because men can have boobs too.
Then I would say no, I was not.
Good. No. I'm happy with that.
There
I'm
were a
happy
couple of,
that the fatter men were, but also butt ass naked.
well, I wouldn't say they were super fat. They're just out of shape enough to have tits. You know,
Jiggly. Yeah.
not necessarily. There were no obese male performers. There was one show where there were 2 other females and then there was one show where there was one other woman.
Okay. And did you tart yourself up before?
Like, did I fluff my?
Yeah. Like got the old razor out. I don't know. Like just
Um,
how did you do your hair? What do you wear to these things?
I wear my sneakers
Yep.
and I try to do my hair nice. I try to have nice makeup. And then one thing that's nice about the Fringe is that it's in Edinburgh. So and Edinburgh is like this MC Escher kind of like it was just like it's a city designed by MC Escher. Like it's stairs and hills and impossible passageways everywhere. And you're running from gig to gig from the morning you wake up till like 2 a.m. So you're losing weight. Like just so from the first gig I had there to my last, I was looking so much better. And just like, I mean, I wasn't, I was already in pretty good shape from the start. And then by the end, I'm just flaunting. I'm like I said on stage one night, like there was a bigger woman who came on before me, very pretty, bigger, and she was super body positive. And then I came on stage, and I'm like the most body negative comic. And it was a really progressive audience, so for them, the switch was so um startling. Uh, and like one of the things I said was, I'd just throw in like I'd be like, oh yeah, I was nominated for best newcomer at the Fringe, but I think that I
Newcomer. I think so.
oh that's well there you look you should I think that you might have a knack for this, Dan.
You're so disappointed in your own jokes, but you got to say them. So the ADHD comes out.
Yeah, but sometimes the ADHD is a creativity, conduit. It often is, right? But no, I came out on stage and I was like, yeah, I was nominated for best newcomer. I think that I didn't win that, but I did win most improved thigh gap. And like the whole audience is like, but there's like a couple of like fuckheads who are like totally with me, like
Yeah.
people who are on my wavelength and they love it. But it's a very progressive audience, and people were saying like, oh wow, like you guys are so brave to get on stage naked, and I'm like, well, the bigger girls are brave to get on stage naked, but that's not what's brave for me. Like what's brave for me is not getting on stage naked. What's brave for me is going up in front of a very progressive audience and being proudly fat phobic.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. I like that. I mean, yeah. Would I say no? It does take more courage to get on stage, arse naked, if you're not the stereotypical body image. I
Yeah,
would
I
say.
think so.
But also, it like I was saying, yeah. If you went and did black jokes at a Martin Luther King rally, fuck me, that is so much more braver.
Yeah,
Like, you know
right,
what I mean? If you do
exactly.
fat phobic jokes at Weight Watchers, fuck me, that is braver because you can turn the
That's
audience
what
off.
I'm saying. I am the brave one.
Yeah,
Um, but I also want to say like people are like, oh wow, it's so brave, but it really was a cakewalk for me because I've been living in Berlin for 6 years and public nudity is very
it's
common.
sehr good. Oh, sehr good.
Yeah, it's there good. And it's because we're in Berlin's East Germany,
Yeah,
and the part of it that's West Germany still like the culture has trickled out. Now the wall's not here, now that the wall's not there. And the communist way was nudity. It was like an equalizer that men and women could be safely and non-sexually naked in saunas and at lakes. And so that still
just them
exists.
two.
What?
Just them two.
Just those two. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there weren't other genders before the wall came
No,
down.
you dickhead. Just saw us and likes.
Oh yeah. Oh, okay. Sorry.
Oh, actually, no. I'm gonna do market research now because I'm writing a joke at the moment that I'm quite happy with. And I want to ask your perspective on it. So, like when you're having sex, like Americans will be like yes, yes. Russians will be like da da. Spanish will be like CC. Is Germany ya ya?
um, I have found that Germans make no sounds during sex.
Oh no, I like a bit of musical. It's gotta be a live soundtrack.
But maybe that's like a good like that's a turn for you is the fact that Germans just
No, no. My turn is English people say, "Oh God,"
oh, okay.
"Oh God, oh God."
I mean, it doesn't really have to be based in facts, right? It can just be based in stereotypes. I don't,
That's why I was curious because obviously Germans, their yes is ja. So I just wondered, like, would they turn English and go yes during that, or yeah,
Right. Yeah, yeah. They would say yeah.
yeah, cool.
Yeah is their yes.
Yeah, no, no. So that's why Russia's da,
Hmm.
Spanish is C.
Yeah,
So I'm doing like this like 10-minute porn bit about like AI porn and stuff. So I just thought whilst I've got someone who lives in Germany here, I'd ask because I like my comedy to be factual yet funny, funny yet factual. So
right.
love
I mean,
that.
yeah, you don't want to just be pulling facts out of thin air. You want it to be substantial.
Yeah, and if it's shit, I'll say Sofia said. Now Germans say this, so I'll use it as a cop out. So
Right. A New Yorker I know told me that this is true. So that's all the substantiation I need.
well, it's the modern day is that who actually fact checks their things. You see it once online and you believe it. To be honest,
Yeah.
who needs peer reviews anymore? So, what is sort of like the comedy scene like in Germany? Because what I've been told, because I've had a couple of people with Germany on it, that the audience, even if they're absolutely loving it, their arms will be sort of folded, the whole set. They didn't come up to you and say you were brilliant, but it's hard to like get them to break composure.
Hmm. Okay. So what I was saying before is that our audience is mostly composed of expats.
Yep.
It's not necessarily mostly Germans at any time. Every so often you have a show where it is mostly Germans in your audience, and you're like, oh, this is gonna be a really hard show. And it's really true. Like when you do crowd work at the beginning, you find out that most of them are from Germany. You're like, fuck, oh, this is gonna be a nightmare. Because they like someone explained to me that it was a German guy after a show who came up to me and he was like, I loved your set. And I was like, you were silent and looked mad the whole time.
Yeah.
And then he explained to me that, at least in East Germany, the way that Germans approach comedy is competitively. So, like, if someone says something funny, then what you need to do is not laugh because then they've won. And then you try to say something funnier to make them laugh, and then they can't laugh because then they're letting you know that they've won. So they're basically found a way to rob themselves pure joy that life can provide.
It's so like first one to laugh loses almost.
Yeah. I mean, it's really like they're very sad people
Mm.
fundamentally. Like they've really just fucked themselves into way more misery than is necessary.
But then I would also like not just the people, but I hate comedians who started doing comedy because they were loving life and they thought they'd do a bit of comedy. Their comedy needs to come from a sad place. Comedy, most comedians start when they're at rock bottom and they're like, you know what, fuck it. Let me just, why not? What have I got to lose now? You know. So I'm hoping you're not a happy person deep down inside. I hope you started your comedy from misery.
Well, look, I would say that I am a happy person, but I had a one of the most dramatically horrific childhoods that like of anyone I've ever met. Like it's so bad that when I tell people the details of it, it often scares them.
I'm not saying good,
So I
but I love people with
so
stories. You know.
but like for me, so my solo at the Edinburgh Fringe is called 9/11 Birds and the
I
Bees.
saw that, and this is the first. You've been Fringe how many times now?
It's my third Fringe, first
Or
solo.
dry in Germany?
What?
Dry. I need to say dry. So I'm just
Right. Yeah, yeah, that's right.
flaunting my E grade in German in Deutsch. So you've done it 3 times. First one you sort of rocked up, nobby no mates, and just like just jumped on everything. The second time was
Second time I did mostly spots, but then the last week I had a split bill with two other dark female comics. And we had a great, that one week was really hot. And then this
yeah.
year I came back with my solo.
So this year you rocked it solo,
Yeah.
and it was called.
It's called 9/11 Birds and the Bees.
Okay, is that just
And
a random date you decided to pluck out of
no,
thin air?
of course not. It refers to the big 9/11,
Because in England that would
the
be the ninth
colossal
of in
earth-shaking
England
one.
and most of the world that would be the 9th of November.
Yeah.
Because most normal people go
But
day, month, year. But
Right. But
being
it is
from the
our tragedy, so we get to decide how everybody else talks about it.
I mean, that's
Um,
something that's a horrific. Surely you can't be from New York.
so I am from New York, and this is why I brought this up. Is oh, okay, I know, right? Look, so I brought this up. I'm bringing this up now, my solo, because you asked me where this all began for me, and so my school was only 2 blocks away from the World Trade Center on September 11th.
Okay.
And we had to evacuate the school and run for our lives as the towers collapsed directly over us.
Mm,
So I have this solo was born out of how I kept writing bits about 9/11 and my own experience as a child survivor. And then I realized at a certain point that I had like already had 20 minutes on 9/11, and the fringe is fringe solos are often about one topic.
yeah.
And I thought, fuck it, let me deep dive this. And I ended up writing an hour on it. And what I want to say is that I was always a funny kid. And I had, look, 9/11 wasn't it was among the many terrible things that happened to me as a child, but I was already a funny kid. And then after 9/11 is when I started being a dark comic.
Okay.
And like my friends and I at the age of, so it happened when I was in middle school, and then 2 years later when I got to high school, my friends and I, all we could do was joke about 9/11.
Yeah.
And I mean, we had some of the best 9/11 jokes because they were just so out of pocket, and they were coming from a place of needing our psyches to not shatter into a million pieces over
Okay.
what we had been through.
Mm,
And that was, I cannot remember ever being dark before that, but once it happened, it was the most natural thing. It felt totally natural that you would find irony in something that would otherwise break your brain and your sanity. And
okay.
the irony is, I think, what saved me. And so that's where my inner comedian came from, and my, I think, obsession with comedy.
Okay. So would you say? I think I know the answers. Would you say comedy is a form of cheap man's therapy?
No,
You wouldn't.
I think, well, not certainly not for me. I've been in therapy since I was 17 years old, and
Yeah.
I actually really, I believe, fucking okay. That's like it's actually what you're asking is it's a very deep and big question. I think a lot of people use it as therapy.
Mm,
It can be a defense mechanism, and it can help retrieve you as like this, creating this like bouncy bumper between you and
right in a shell.
something really painful. Yeah, creating a shell, exactly. And so I think maybe it's nature's kind of therapy.
Okay.
And it's a part of human resilience, I think. It's one of our key, it's part of our programming biologically for resilience. It's just in our programming. But I would say, like, I do meet people who will say, like, oh, you talk about such horrific things on stage.
Mm,
Is this your therapy? And I'm like, no, I go to therapy every week. I fucking love actual therapy, but I have had a particularly dark relationship with the world. And this is through my eyes, this is the world that has been presented to me. And that's the world I want to talk about. That's the world I have so much to say about.
okay. So
Uh,
do you try and find humor in the sort of darkest places then?
yes, I would say typically, yeah, I'm really interested in going to the darkest places for humor, but it's almost like I'm already living in that. Like I'm actually a very happy person because I've done so much therapy, and I think because of resilience, the resilience of comedy that I naturally arrived at pretty early in my life. That's what makes me a happy person, but I'm very tortured. I wouldn't say I'm not tortured.
Okay. And how did the audience respond to
To
this
the
show?
9/11 show.
Yes.
It was a smash hit. It was a screaming success. I mean, I got so I had a completely sold out run.
It brought the house down or building.
Yeah. It brought yeah. Yeah, precisely, precisely.
It could have crashed, but it bombed. No. Okay, sorry.
But
That's the
yeah,
ADHD kicking in. Sorry, go on. I'll shut up.
fair enough, fair enough. Fair play. So yeah, it was a sold out run. The venue looks like so this is the other thing. The venue looks like the inside of an airplane. I didn't bring that. I knew about this venue. It already existed. So I asked for it. And the organizers of the Free Fringe Laughing Horse either they didn't care and they were like, fuck it, she can have it because other people don't want it, or they were like, oh, this is like too good, let's give it to her for sure.
Yeah.
And it did prove that kind of like this is too good because
Yeah.
audience were so excited. Almost all of them knew they were coming for a dark fucking show.
Hmm.
And so like I did 21 shows. I was sick and had to cancel one, and then I had
Oh, did you get
3 days
fringe flu?
off. I did, yeah. I got Fringe flu twice, actually.
Nice. Like freshers flu.
What's that?
It's like freshers flu. When you go
What's
uni.
that?
So uni, when you go university, the first week of the semester is like the freshers week. So basically, when you go out 7 days of the week, you get fucked up, and then you end up becoming ill
Oh
because
yeah,
you're out
because
all the time partying.
exactly with the newfound freedom
Yes.
that you have. Yeah, and you're eating cereal and you're eating cereal and ice cream for all 3 meals a day because nobody can
Standard.
tell you what to do.
Mm.
Right. It's pretty much like that. Everybody's just running their immune systems into the ground. You're working so hard at the same time, and you're in tiny little rooms, typically with no ventilation, with like 30 or 40 strangers. So
Like a
eventually,
German shower from the 1940s.
what's the German shower? Yes, I thought
From
you
the
said gender.
1940s.
Yes.
It was a Holocaust joke. That was irrelevant.
Um, It's anyway, so I had so my room, it looks like the inside of an airplane. They've got literally I don't know how they acquired this, but they have actual airplane seats, like rows of airplane seats. So there were 30 actual seats, and then there was extra space where they had failed to get folding chairs. So what would happen is that on
So did you
the
have to pay for
weekend.
extra leg room?
Well, I'd prioritize people with tickets and give them the fun
Yeah.
airplane seats. And
Was it
then,
priority boarded?
yeah, pretty much. Yeah. I mean, it was definitely ripe for all kinds of airplane like puns.
If fat guys have to
And
buy two seats.
fat guy's got to buy two. Yeah,
Yes,
exactly.
there we go.
One day we had a baby on the airplane. That was fun
Oh,
for like 3 minutes until it started crying, and then the mom had to take it out. But there was anyway, so then I'd have people sitting like on the weekends and some weekdays even there would be so many people flooding in that I'd have to have people sitting in the aisle, on the floor, in the crevices, on stage with me, like just surrounding me on stage. And people were out of the 21 shows, I only had about one really weird one a week. And the others were either great or fucking raucous, wild, hysterical fun.
but
And then I ended
can
up,
you give me some moments, some like particular highlights that were really good, and sometimes where it didn't go so good? Because I like hearing shit stories, So
sure, yeah. I mean, it's hard. Honestly, it's harder to remember the good ones are kind of like more boring than the bad
obviously,
ones,
yeah.
right?
I don't
Like,
care about success. I want to hear the times that Bill booed stuff at you, and you know, I don't know. I want to hear misery.
okay, so one of the worst shows, possibly the worst show, it was towards the end. It was on the Saturday before the end, so it was the most packed out show. I had like it's a 30-seater, I had 50 people in the room. I
Nice.
mean, it was crazy, and it was actually not good. It was not good. I realized after because since every doorway and aisle was blocked, anyone who decided this isn't for me couldn't leave.
Mm.
So anyone who is miserable because they realize like, a lot of people when they're going to dark comedy shows, like everyone thinks they're a good time. And then they go to an actual dark comedy show and they find out they're not. And then those people should get to leave. But in this case, they couldn't. And so
Did you
one
point
thing
out
that
the exit?
happened, what?
Point out the exits.
That's yeah, fucking I
Thank
should do that
you.
next time.
Play jokes
So
going
much
through.
potential.
But then,
Okay. We'll workshop it.
yes.
Exits are yeah. Um, but so anyway, so I have in my introduction, before I get into the 9/11 stuff, I just make a couple of like dark introductory jokes about myself. And I have one joke about how I actually used to be fat, which is true.
Mm.
And it's about how people are often suspicious of me and they want proof. And then the joke is basically like, well, look, I don't have proof, but like all I can basically the best thing I can tell you is I have a list of men who wouldn't fuck me, and there are no black men on that list. And that joke, I've tested it in black rooms. I have always, whenever there's a black guy in the audience, I'm like, I'm doing this joke because it's a roast and appreciation. It's a roast. And I never want to do a racially charged joke unless I'm certain that it's going to make the black audience members laugh,
Mm.
because otherwise it's just racist. I want to do it so that we're laughing together.
No, I disagree on
Anyways,
that. I disagree on that. I think you can do any joke, any room. All it depends is the intent behind the joke.
well, I agree with that. For me, this is just my own criteria is that
Yeah, cool.
unless the joke is really good,
Yeah,
if it's about another group and a press group, like look,
yeah.
I don't it's just for me it's like if the joke is really good, then this is going to make someone from that group laugh about this, and that's the goal. And it's not to make someone, I don't want to offend people even though I'm joking about horrific things. The goal is to actually get them laughing with me.
Yeah.
So anyway, so there was one black guy in the audience at my show.
The
He's
token.
sitting close to the front and he didn't laugh.
Oh, okay.
And the thing is that with white audiences, if there's
Now
a black
look.
person in the front, make a black joke, they're all waiting to see how is he going to
Yeah,
react.
I know that it's the
And the
reactor.
fact that
Yeah.
he didn't laugh, it killed the room completely. Like everyone pulled back. And I have a joke that's supposed to recover that. Didn't go well at all. And this guy, it was literally the first time. I've tested this joke hundreds of times in black rooms, with always whenever there's a black person in the room, I'm like, I'm doing this joke because I think you're gonna love it. And it's part of testing it. First time it's ever bombed with the black audience member. And then I felt really thrown off because the whole room was like, and then so then I kind of got them back when I got back to the 9/11 stuff. And then I have a bit about, well, I have one Islamophobic joke, but it's
Oh,
really light. And it's a
what is,
9/11.
you do yours, I'll do mine.
I don't want to tell it because it's a great joke. I don't want to spoil it, but
Okay.
it's extremely light. It's basically just wordplay, and it's a dark hour on 9/11. If you're coming into this room thinking there better not be Islamophobic jokes, like you got a prayer. Like what do you fucking think? You're going into a 9/11 show that's just clean, wholesome fun?
Yeah.
For God's sakes. So I make my Islamophobic joke. They don't like it. And then usually they don't like, it's already just like,
Yeah.
like they're already on edge about anything that's like, racially charged in any way. And then I have a joke that like digs your heels into that joke, which is an even better joke, which is a racist joke, but it's a self-aware racist joke, which is the point. And then they were just fucking like, we hate her. The
Yeah.
whole room. This is the biggest audience I've had. They're all packed in and no one can leave. And so it was so brutal. And then afterwards, like I ended up getting multiple 4-star reviews from reviewers. I got nominated for Best Newcomer in the Comedian's Choice Awards.
Yeah.
I won Best Performer from the European Comedy Awards at the Fringe. I got an agent. I got featured on the BBC. Like I had all of these like this terrific success, and I had so many raving audience reviews, but then after this show, like two people wrote the most scathing,
Mm.
infuriated reviews like that left me like almost having like a panic attack. Like they're
Yeah.
so like they were like this woman is a racist,
Yeah.
and she's like, and she you know, she took a topic that's, you know, that could have been funny, but she was completely unable to navigate it in a funny way. And it's like I rewatched the footage from that show, and actually I was fucking funny,
Mm.
but sometimes people like, I just can't, to me, I just can't wrap my head around one, not getting that something's a joke,
Yeah.
and not being able to laugh at terrorists. Like now terrorists are considered a part of such a it's like you're piled into the vulnerable group of people.
Safe
Like,
space.
how did this fucking happen? Like that people can't make the fucking distinction between Islamic extremism
Yeah.
and
Islam.
Islam.
Yeah.
Um, anyway, so I can't understand how people have such a hypersensitivity that they cannot listen to what you're actually saying and understand the meaning. And then on top of it, I can't understand how someone would go to a 9/11 show who doesn't have a thick skin, you
Yeah.
know?
Who could be under the false illusion of what this show is going to be about?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, but some like if an audience member is upset, do they all of a sudden then go into tunnel vision? And
I
then
think
no
that's
matter what you
exactly it.
say, you can't win. Like I said,
Yeah.
I do is the farm. I do. I've got a Sharia law joke. I've got a gay joke. They're misdirections, but before I do them, I always say, once, let me just quickly look around the room. I'm not looking for Muslims. I'm looking for middle-aged white women to get offended on their behalf. So I
Right.
completely sort of.
Exactly.
So if they want to
Yeah.
then look offended, it's like, you're now that stereotype. You know.
Right. Yeah, that's a perfect joke. And that's the, I mean, typically it is white women. And I'm so like, it's so annoying
But you
that
you you
white
are
women
that
just have this
stereotype. So
mantle.
why you're that stereotype though, wouldn't you be?
I mean, as a white woman,
Yeah.
oh, sure. I mean, people throw around the word Karen so carelessly these days that like if you're a white woman complaining about something that
Mm.
in a justified way,
Yeah.
everybody's like Karen, you know? Um, and I think that term has, I think the term has basically become a sexist, uh, it's like a socially acceptable way to just shit on women. Like we found that way, but there's the woke Karen, which I think is a real problem too, where white women who used to yell at brown people still need to yell at someone. So now they yell on behalf of brown people.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. They just want to shout about something, so they'll
Yeah,
choose.
they just want to be indignant
Yeah.
and on someone's case about something.
I said I'm passionate about things in life, but I have not got anything in my life I'm so passionate about it would enrage me enough to vocalize my opinion. If you know what I mean, like if I was for someone's a dick, I'd rather just be a bit of a dick. But I'd internalize that. I don't think I'd never go to like a protest, never go to a march, never do a scathing thing online. Like, because I just think like, what the world doesn't give a shit about you. They don't give a shit about your opinion. So why go feed some trolls? Why give them ammunition?
Yeah. Well, and also you're helping their whatever their post is with engagement. That's
Yeah,
reason alone not to contribute, is that you're giving, you know, it's kind of like the algorithm lives by the adage all press is good press, right?
yeah. I mean,
So,
does that show how fucking stupid society actually is?
yeah. Yeah, it really does. It's definitely a mirror.
Hmm. But then is it a comedian's job to point that mirror up to society and laugh at it?
Yeah, I do think that's the comedian's job. The comedian's job is to definitely to, I mean, obviously to find the funny.
Hmm.
And then I do think it's the comedian's job to be the voice that everyone's afraid to have. on the shadow. Okay, so that's my take. Like, I
I like
think
that.
dark comedy is
Yeah.
actually more about, like, there's two different routes, right? There's multiple routes for comedians. One is just to be a pure entertainer. Another is to be the mirror, right? And to show us our own shadows that we've otherwise find too unbearable to acknowledge, but by making it funny,
Mm.
we can actually bear to look at it
I like that.
and acknowledge it in a way that doesn't make us feel ashamed of ourselves,
Yeah.
which is powerful. And then there's this kind of Yas Queen
Slay
comedy,
Queen. Sorry.
exactly, which is about punching up, right?
I
And
worked with the
this
wokest
I
girl,
find,
one of the wokest girls in the world worked for me at my pub. And she was like, yes, Slay Queen. And even I was like, oh, that guy's a faggot. She would yell at me. You know, I was her boss. But I was like, I don't mean it like he sucks dick. It was just a colloquial terminology that I've grown up using. And then
right.
every time I said something, like she'd be like, there was like slang. It's like, oh, that eats. I was like, what does that mean? She's like, oh, it means it's really good. We ate it up. And I then used it in the right context. She's like, oh, yeah, Slay Queen. I was like, oh, fucking brilliant.
Well, yeah, I mean, that even just brings up like this whole just like using these kinds of like leaning back on these slogans like Yas Queen, Slay Queen. It's so, I find that so offensively hack because it's
Mm,
like you're not coming from, you're not thinking for yourself. You've just gone on autopilot
an NPC.
for, I say this thing and this makes me a good person. Look at us being all good people. And that's my issue with punch up comedy, is that when you are a comedian getting on stage and talking about, look, and the thing is, of course, we should always criticize people in power. And I think that it's like
So.
really important. I mean, of course, like South Park doing this episode on Donald Trump is so
Oh,
important because
brilliant.
our free speech is getting like we have to do that. We have to
Oh,
humiliate him in the ways we can. This is the only freedom we have left.
I have
But
three heroes. Two of them are Matt Stone and Trey Parker. They are
they're also
geniuses. They are
heroes.
geniuses,
Yeah.
and they are the best. Yeah, sorry, go on.
Yeah, they are geniuses. So, however, in stand up, when I see a comedian get on stage and do this whole like white men are like this and blah 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 blah, I'm so sick of straight white men and just making fun of people in power. One, it's hack because it's like, okay, we've been saying that same thing for how many years now? You need to say something else, otherwise it's just not, you're not learning anything.
Yeah.
And two, it's all you're doing is creating this uh absolution for your audience where it's all these liberals who are patting themselves on the back thinking I'm such a good white person because I'm listening to this person talk about how bad white people are. Look at what a good white person I am. And
I
for
love
me,
this.
nothing makes me feel more disgusted than this sort of self-affirming circle jerk that
But Sophia,
comedy
I
creates.
fucking love you. That is, you watch back nearly every episode. I say, people, these woke little people, I will go around in a circle, jerking each other off, saying how wonderful they are. I was just about to say
Yeah.
that, and you just dropped the quote I use. So fucking well
Yeah,
done. Love that.
I'm
Love
very
that.
glad that we see eye to eye on
Yeah,
this.
in a circle,
And
jerking each
and
other off. That's my
that
saying. Woman.
that being said, I would say that most of the comics I know who get on stage and they do the like yes and this and it's all about how like, I'm punching up and it's all like they get on stage and they're like I'm a good guy.
Yeah.
Those are often the biggest pieces of shit
Yeah. Oh,
in
one
real
million
life.
percent. Oh, the soy boy beta cuck people. They're just because I think. Okay, quote me if I'm wrong. I think most guys do things to impress females. That is what most people do. So they act all chivalrous. They act, oh, I care. Look how wonderful I am. Come be my
Right.
friend. But it's all a fucking angle.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's it's the lady doth protest too much kind of
Bank couch
phenomena.
motherfuckers.
Like, why do you need to get on stage and talk about what a good person you are if you really are a good person and you don't have an issue with this?
Yeah.
And I find that dark comics, and it's not always, but I do find that dark comics have a tendency to be very empathetic people who are more humble.
Mm.
And like all the dark comics that I'm friends with in Edinburgh are just some of the gentlest
Mm.
souls. And I think the difference is that they don't have a fear of their own shadow. So
No.
they're better integrated human beings. And that's why they don't have an issue with bringing the shadow up on stage. Whereas the guys who come up and they're like, I'm good, I'm a clean, good guy, those people they're really trying to push their shadow away.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of person who's not integrated enough to even to be a stable,
Sense
like
of society.
typically even, socialized member of society.
I tell you, it reminds me of, when you're on LinkedIn. I don't know if you're on LinkedIn, but there's always like them people who write them long things. It's like, a guy failed to come to my interview because he had no shoes. I hired him immediately. He ends up being the best person. Long term. Don't judge a book by its cover. And it's like, oh, fuck off. Like it's just, it's goo.
Yeah, it's goo. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's goo. It's this kind of
Yeah.
just tone
Saved
like
up and just, big old pot of it, and then just dousing yourself on stage. Ah, look how lovely I am. Fuck, hate it.
yeah.
We have got something quite bad in England at the moment. So I'm part of all the forums. I know a fair few amount of comedians. Everyone's always like, oh, I need a headliner. Has to be female or come from a disabled background. And it's like they're looking for that now. They're fishing for it to then basically say, okay, I'll give you the perfect example. In England, we've got a woman called Rosie Jones. Yeah,
Okay.
she is a disabled comedian, as disabled comes. And okay, she is not funny, but she's not funny because she's disabled. She's not funny because she's not funny. Do you know what I mean?
She's
Watch
not
Kill
funny 'cause she's a
Tony.
woman.
No. Watch Kill Tony. There's some fantastic. There are some fantastic disabled comedians
Oh yeah, sure.
who are funny. They are portraying her as like the poster child just so they can look how caring we are. No, you're not. You're basically saying, look how caring we are, but we know this is going to do well because behind curtains everyone's going to say, let's laugh at the freak. And it's evil.
Laugh at the freak,
Yes,
or you mean
because
let's laugh with the freak because
no,
that makes us good people to be here, to turn up, to watch? Or do you mean laugh at?
no, I'm saying they do it as sort of a double point. They're doing it from the place where they look woke. They look, oh my god, look how caring we are.
Right.
But they also know there's going to be that massive backlash for the she's not funny because it nurtures the engagement. It's
Right.
like there's it's always it's the same. It is the circus freak show, but they're basically putting
Right.
stuff
They're
on.
exploiting. They're exploiting it.
Yeah, 100% exploiting it. And as I said, it's not because she's disabled, because there's some brilliant disabled comedians. I've worked with loads of
Yeah.
them who are brilliant. They're doing it because she is an easy poster cop out person for them to get engagement off, and basically it's like there's that thing that no matter what it'll piss off both sides, and it's like that perfect
Mm-hmm.
sweet spot. And unfortunately, yeah,
Yeah.
that's sort of
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Right. They found that perfect convergence
Mm.
of those two things that will benefit them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but they get to look pious, but then they also get to monetize the engagement of the pure hatred from both sides. It's like it's like they're
Yeah.
perfect, like Nazi utopia. But
Right.
so go jump on your 9/11 special. Have you retired that now?
No, no, not at
No,
all. So, I had only done it 3 times. Like, I mean, I'd been working on the material for a
I thought it
long
only happened
time, but I
twice, but
only
that's fine.
did this.
Sorry.
Sorry?
I thought it only happened twice. I was doing another Twin Tower show.
So yeah, no. I only did the hour. I only ran it 3 times before I went to the Fringe, and then I did it 21 times there. So I mean, it has evolved profoundly from its inception. However, I want to bring it back to the Fringe next year. So I'm going to keep working on it all of this year. I'm working on other things too. But I'll bring it back next year. It has pretty high appeal for sales. So I
Yeah.
don't think I have to worry about, like, a lot of people. I mean, I would meet people at the end of the Fringe and they were like, oh my God, like just random people to be like, oh, you're the 9/11 girl. I really wanted to see that show.
Mm.
So I think, next year what I can do is just have the tighter, an even tighter, more developed version of the show. And the thing is, like, all the accolades are so wonderful. Like, it
Yeah.
really, like, does me so good to have the positive affirmation, because it means that following my own instincts was correct, and I can keep going and doing that. It really gives me the validation in my instincts.
Yeah.
But the best part, really the best part of doing the show, was developing it, because I mean, that's the best part of stand up, is doing it and finding the new ideas, and just so going deeper, and that's the beauty also of doing the one topic, is you can go so deep,
Mm.
peel back the layers of the onion. Like, I have so many 9/11 jokes, but they're so deeply personal. No one's ever approached this, like, and no one ever will be able to, because there's only like a few hundred people who were children at ground zero at the foot of the towers that day. So, and as far as I know, I'm the only one of us who became a comic. So it's a really beautiful thing to dive that deep into one topic and find
I'm,
the just some such specificity of it,
I'm
and
trying to
dig
think
deeper and find
what did
even
most of the
more.
kids become? I'm trying to think of something. I'm drawing such a blank.
I mean,
So
I don't
one
know.
of them became a comedian. What did the other 199 become?
A lot of them, I think, went into finance, ironically,
Someone's got
because
to build that
I,
tower. Really?
they're in the financial district. There was one other school that, and I have a bit about this, but there was another school that was right. It was a block further north of our school, so we were 2 blocks away, they were 3 blocks away, and they stole our glory.
You won.
And that was a high school, so they were older kids, they were teenagers, we were middle schoolers and lower schoolers, and those kids in the high school, like, they totally stole the spotlight as the closest school, but we were the closest school. And a lot of those kids, it's like a special elite nerd school, and a lot of those kids went into finance. And so for me, like, I have this in my bit, I'll tell you this joke. For me, like, even though I have so much anguish around them stealing our glory, just knowing that those nerds went into finance means that at least we can assume that the World Trade Center was full of graduates from this school,
Yeah.
and Allah works in mysterious ways.
Now, I'd never want it to, reciprocate itself again, but, if it's them type of cunts in the building, well,
Yeah.
you know, I will give that money to Palestine. No, I did not say that. Oh, okay. That's how Daniel gets cancelled. I mean, do you believe in cancel culture?
um, like, do I believe it actually exists,
Mm,
or do I
yeah.
think it's a good thing,
No, no. Do
or
you, do you think it exists? Like, is there any such thing as bad publicity?
um I think there is such a thing as bad publicity. I think that when you're a powerhouse like Louis CK, for example,
He's
I
a
think
legend.
Louis,
He's one of the
he's a
all-time
legend.
greats.
He is, and he's one of my favorites, of course. I was really heartbroken as a woman when I
That he
found
didn't
out
call
about
you
what
up and
he had
wank over
done.
the phone.
What?
That he didn't call you up when he was wanking over the phone.
Exactly,
That's why I was
exactly. I felt
heartbroken
very
over.
left out. I felt very left out. But as a woman who's experienced sexual assault in a lot of different forms, he was my favorite comic in 2017 for sure. Like, by far. And then when all this came out, I was really heartbroken, because he appears to be so incredibly self-aware, and you would just never expect someone that's so self-aware to do something that's so violating to other people.
Mm.
However, so 3 years passed where I personally canceled him in my heart, because I was like, I'm too disturbed by this behavior. And then I just so happened to be listening to a comedy podcast with Nick Kroll, Judd Apatow, and some other comedian or
I love
comedic.
Judd. He's such a good fucking writer.
He's amazing and
Have you got his have you got his have you got
amazing.
his book?
No, Sick in the Head. Right. That's great. That looks great. But I mean, his movies are fucking fantastic. He's an
Standard.
amazing,
Hmm.
amazing comedic director, producer, everything. But so this podcast, him and Nick Kroll and this other comic were arguing about Louis's new special, which was Sincerely, which had just been released. And they were arguing about the merits of Louis um, making fun of teenagers in the US who survive school shootings and how whiny they are.
Hmm.
And Judd Apatow was arguing that after everything Louis done, he should know better than to make jokes like this, and that he doesn't have a right to make jokes like this because he still needs to kind of like redeem himself.
Yeah,
You know,
get his
he
public
can't be
image back up.
yeah, I mean, after he's hurt so many people, he shouldn't be hurting people further. And then Nick Kroll fundamentally disagreed, and he was like, "No, Louis' job is to find the funniest thing,
I
and
agree.
if this is the funniest thing, that's his job." And so I thought, all right, it's time that I weighed in on this debate. Everybody's waiting to hear what I think, so let me weigh in. And so
I'm
then
still waiting.
I watched Sincerely, and it was so good. And Louis' bit about being canceled
Hmm.
is such a masterpiece. It may be the greatest bit of all time, period. That I was like, okay, I'm depriving myself. I'm depriving the artist and fan in me of this man's incredible art. And I don't want to deprive myself anymore. So somehow I'm gonna have to figure out how to hold these two truths at the same time. That this guy did something that really hurt a lot of people, a lot of women, and I still find very distressing. And he's a comedy god who I need for inspiration and just the pure joy of it.
But,
And so then I let him back in my life as an artist, but a part of me maintains that divide that maybe like of course meeting him would be a fucking dream, but
yeah.
I maybe now I'd have a slightly different, I'd be a little more cautious
Do you
in
think it was because he
person
did it off stage? If it was
with
part of
those
a
women.
bit, if Louis C.K. did that as a bit on stage,
like
there wouldn't have been a problem.
like like if he actually masturbated in front of a woman on stage
Oh, say
and or if he talked about it.
talked about, yeah, I guess metaphorically and actually doing it, yeah.
I think the thing that a lot of men have a hard time understanding is, the fact that these women gave their consent. Then they say, well, what's wrong with what he did? And for me, what's wrong with what he did was even ask. Because if you imagine a guy, let's say it's your mom and she's at work and one of her coworkers asks, can I masturbate in front of you? Well, now he's ruined work for her,
Yeah,
even if she says no. So for
ruin the
me,
day.
we just start even from the inception of the whole thing, which is that like you cannot even propose something like that to a colleague because now you've ruined the relationship even
Okay.
by asking,
But then
even if you don't do it.
let me do this in a complete 180 then. What's the difference between that and someone asking a woman at the bar, sorry, do you mind getting butt ass naked and standing on my stage?
Well, he didn't take his dick out, and he didn't say I want to
Well,
take
he
my dick
did.
out. He didn't.
He
No,
did, but you know,
no,
that's
but it's not. It's really
that,
not. No, I think there's actually a pretty clear line, which is that there was no sexual. I mean, it's maybe, maybe there's a sexual like nuance or a sexual like a hidden sexual agenda that he wants to see me naked, but he's still not going to impose his sexuality on me.
yeah, okay,
He's
that's
offering
the
me an
driving factor.
opportunity. He's offering me an opportunity. He's not saying, hey, can I masturbate in front of you? And also, if it's a stranger, this is the other thing. If a stranger
Yeah,
came
so
up to me and
you'd
said, hey, can
apply
I
before,
masturbate in
yeah,
front of you?
cool.
Then the relationship. I can just be like, ew, get the fuck away from me. If it's
Yeah.
someone it means now you have to handle this. And this is going to be a part of your everyday experience with them. Now this can of worms has been opened up that's absolutely fucking disgusting
Yeah.
and unwelcomed.
Yes. It's not a good
Um,
corporate comedy gig, is it?
I suppose not.
Okay. I will do a couple. Now I'll wrap it. I'm also speaking about Judd Apps. I'm so surprised how poor Freaks and Geeks did.
Oh, it's a masterpiece. It's
Truly,
yeah.
truly. Like,
Undeclared also was canceled after one season.
mm, mm,
And I remember watching an interview with Judd Apatow, and he's asked about it, and he just said, I think that people don't respond to what's real. Like
mm.
people somehow shy away from what's real
Oh,
in the
that was so
beginning.
raw and real, Freaks and Geeks. So raw.
Yeah.
Like, because that's how, like,
Yeah.
obviously it was the Americanized version, but that's how I saw school.
Yeah. It's
Uh,
exactly what it's like to be a teenager
yeah.
and how hard it is.
I completely agree with that. Go on. I'll end it with I'll end it with this one. You know, been going for a while now. What and I mean, your comedy life. What's sort of been your favourite moment in comedy, and what time did you personally bomb the hardest?
Oh, um, I mean, I suppose my favorite. Do you mean my favorite gig
No, just in
to
general, a
ever do?
moment.
Well, I guess this Fringe has been
Your
the
highlight.
most ecstatic. I mean, every day of this Fringe was just, it was like, it was pure ecstasy. Like, it's just getting to do the thing you love every day, multiple times a
Yeah,
day. It's really like it's a very, I mean, Fringe is so Bucknellian for a reason. Like everybody's so juiced up from killing
mm,
over and over and over and over again. And so, everybody's like, that's why people party so hard because they're so juiced on
yeah,
the pure joy of getting to do what they love so much. So I would say this fringe has been the high point. There was okay, you know what? I think the best comedic experience I ever had was during the fringe, right towards the end. It was before the terrible show that I told you
yeah.
about. The day before, I had just the wildest, most fun show. And it was because I was just about to get sick again. So my energy was super low. So I chugged a Red Bull right before getting on stage. And I never drink caffeine because I want to use it as a proper drug when I need it.
Right.
And
Okay.
I needed the zippiness of
Yeah.
it, and I was fucking bouncing off the walls, and I just couldn't, like, I mean, I was so funny, and it was so just, I mean, the looseness, the just also, I mean, like it was hilarious, and it was really just like how yipped up I was on the caffeine. And also so funny that it's just caffeine.
Yeah.
It's not like cocaine, it's not even alcohol. It's just I chugged a Red Bull and now I'm just
Got proper.
bouncing. I'm like one of those super balls that you get at the, you know, and
No, the
that was a
Super Bowl at
riot.
the
What?
Super Bowl at the all like his pinball machine.
Yeah,
What
yeah.
is it?
Well,
Like, yeah.
it's those rubber balls where you bounce it and it goes bum 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 bum
Oh yeah.
against.
I used to love doing them in elevators.
Yeah. Oh, that's a
Uh,
great place to do them.
I know.
Slinky on the stairs, Super Bowl in the elevator.
That is a fun time right there, isn't there? Um, I was going to ask you one
And
more. About that. So obviously being, um, how do I say it? Being quite attractive. Have you had to deal with any sort of like inappropriateness in the comedy world? I don't know why I'm
um
always so shy to compliment people on that as well. But
oh yeah, I don't know. I mean, I certainly appreciate hearing that, so thank you.
yeah, but
Um
yeah, I'm trying to remain professional. Look, come across as a sly
I
guy.
I would say, I mean, I think the only this is gonna sound so obnoxious, but maybe the biggest barrier it poses is male comics trying to fuck me, and then the ones that I'm attracted to back, it's kind of creates an irresistible situation, and then having sex with male comics, and obviously it almost never goes well
Mm.
because it's a fucking, like the most people who get into this art form are broken in some way, and very few of us have really addressed that,
Yeah,
um and are capable of, like, you know being accountable in
yeah,
these kinds of situations. And so you get involved with kind of really uh difficult personality types without realizing it. And so, I mean, I feel like that's more the difficulty, is having the option to sleep with male comics, and then that ends up just always biting me in the ass. It's never
getting that yeast infection from it.
yeah, I mean, no, like,
There
well, actually,
we go. Love a
that
callback.
that bit did come from a
Yeah,
comic.
brilliant.
That's so interesting.
But I was saying, like,
um,
can a lot of male comedians be creeps? Because
you
sometimes they're not socially indoctrined.
I feel that's more the comedians who are in the sort of outskirts. That's more like newer comics, because
Right.
comedy does have a social, there's a
Filtering.
self-fulfilling, yeah, there's a self-filtering social creation, social, there's a social filter that happens where when you're at the very bottom level, it's just absolutely anyone who thinks I can do this, which is mostly crazy people. Mostly it's crazy people who are attracted to this art form. And then the people who actually, like, buckle down and really pursue it, then that becomes a smaller ring of people,
Mm.
and that filters out a lot of the crazy people who just want to do it. And then from that group, gradually having to sustain relationships in a community will
Yeah.
filter that out further. So the people who have been doing this longer and are good at it and are getting booked and are still part of the community are probably people who are socially sound enough to, you know, create like nice, lasting social relationships with the other people in the community. So I would say it's more the creeps come who are from the newer comics. And I have the issue of having a very approachable look, which I hate, but I smile big. And, if they see me engaging with someone I like, they think that woman is incredibly approachable. And then plenty of crazy people will just try to sink their teeth into me
Oh,
because
they'll
they think that
misinterpret
I'm
signs.
so easy. What?
They'll misinterpret signs. She
Yes.
smiled at me. She
Yeah.
smiled. All that shit.
Yeah, exactly. Or they just think she's smiling at someone else. That means she'll have to smile at me because somehow I have, like, I'm not discerning. They just think like this girl is an open, she's just an open door because they can see I'm open with one person, and then they come running at me, and then I have to fight them off. And I tend to be very rude to just new people in my life for that reason, because
Yeah.
I magnetize a lot of crazies with my
Magnetize negative aura.
approachable face. What?
You magnetize negative aura.
Yeah, I fucking do. Sadly.
What's the reverse of bitches be crazy?
Oh,
Men
um,
men be cucks be crazy.
Cuxby, Cox.
Simps be
I don't
stupid.
know. I mean, bitch, who
Simps be
be,
stupid.
yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
They
I don't
do.
know. I mean, is it the opposite we're looking for? So it's not like men are sane. Bitches be crazy, men are sane.
Mm.
That's the right. Um, dicks are
Dicks be flaccid.
dicks be flaccid. That's, yeah.
There we go.
That's a lot of it.
Dicks
Yeah.
be flaccid out here, people. Right, Sophia, I've got to finish it there, dude. But thank you ever so much for coming on. I've really appreciated this. I've thoroughly loved it.
Oh, it was really nice. Thank you so much for having me.
I've thoroughly enjoyed it. And guys, thank you ever so much for watching. Cheers.